fucking do this. Welcome everybody to another episode of Push to Talk. It is Saturday, the 16th of September 2023, and I am here with a bunch of lovely people who
Small
bunch of lovely people who want to basically shit on who really have some strong opinions of game development and engine development studios, right? That being Horrendous, Dirk, and
So where are these lovely people?
I mean,
they'll
very
get
good question.
they'll get here eventually. I was told that they're going to be coming, so up until then,
you get
you
the
have
cynics,
the cynics,
for the minute.
and the bit of vets. That is, Horrendous, Dirk, Soth, and myself. So welcome everybody.
Commander Starscream, Eric must be slacking off at the golf course today. Eric is, in fact, slacking off at the golf course today. He's been sending us along a few bits of pictures over the weekend.
He has, yeah.
He's been out there on the course. He's had a nice steak. It looked a bit small, that steak, but otherwise looked nice. And yeah, he's out enjoying his holiday somewhere. I forget where he told us he was going.
Somewhere nice, fairly certain.
But
yeah. So I don't know. Do we want to literally jump right into the whole Unity thing, or like shall we kind of get a few things out of the way?
Well, I've been kind of busy the last couple of weeks, so I have no idea what's gone on in the era of EVE Online and what's gone on beyond like CSM voting stuff. Since we don't have a Dawn today,
we can jump straight in.
Start this off by giving me a bit of a recap of what silliness has gone on.
I mean, in terms of CSM silliness, like, there's been a bunch of CSM silliness. For one,
really, do tell.
For one, like, I mean, where should we begin on this? I mean, I think the biggest drama was the deceit stuff, right? Which was essentially his organization, his group, there was kind of like an expose on Reddit where his organization. Yeah, this is the botting thing. Like, basically, just his group seems to be not blissfully unaware, but it's very, very much blissfully aware that they are, enjoying the fruits of a lot of their organization members botting, and seem to be completely fine with it, which is a little awkward when you have somebody in that organization running for the CSM.
Yeah,
right?
I can imagine.
Just a tiny little bit.
That story ended with him actually being disqualified from the running, right?
Well, you say that, but last was it our last episode last Saturday? Didn't we have a look and he was actually still on the ballot list?
He was still on the ballot list. The threat was still there, but it was locked.
Yeah,
right.
The last that I checked prior to that, it was locked, and it also had been delisted. So if you had the link straight to it, you could get to it. But if you looked on the listings, it wasn't there. But obviously that seems to have changed in some way, shape, or form. And I don't know, like this seems to be really kind of strange, right?
So we're gonna find out live at Fanfest if he is actually been voted for, if he was actually on the ballot, etc.
Sometime live at Fanfest, yes.
I don't know when. It was just referred to as it will be announced.
We actually did go to CCP and ask when exactly we're going to get the results from this election.
the opening ceremony on the 22nd of September, according to CCP Swift.
Oh, when did he say that?
He said this on Reddit 5 days ago on Angry Mustache's thread about the CSM 18 ballots being the current third highest turnout ever. He made this thread.
Oh, yeah. So,
on September 11th. So, yeah.
Now I feel like we kicked something into motion. Because we asked last week about this.
Hey, I don't mind us kicking things into motion that needed to be kicked into motion. Like, I'm fine with that. You know?
Yeah. So I suppose that could kind of segue us into the whole situation with the CSM voting, which is that according to the general stats that Angry Mustache had on this Reddit thread, he has suggested that this is going to be the third highest turnout ever, with more than 45,000 votes.
Yep.
However, if you scroll down a bit, CCP Swift says that they are currently looking at, or at the time of his posting, they were looking at a range of between 46 and 48,000 votes, which would be the highest turnout since CSM 8.
Here we go.
Like 8 years ago or something, I think CSM 8 was. And it would be the most, and it is the most number of candidates that they have had standing for CSM since CSM 12, 6 years ago. So, some big numbers for the CSM this year. Of course, we do have the controversy around this current CSM and the way it's going to be picked, in that there are 2 seats extra on the CSM that CCP are choosing from the people in positions 11 through 20. So, you know, kind of watering down the player base's voting animus a little bit there. But yeah, some good numbers based on what CCP are seeing.
Yeah, it is looking good, which also makes you kind of wonder if the incumbents are sort of a little bit in hot water in that kind of sense. I mean, there has been kind of some mentions about the fact that this CSM has actually been a very solid, less fractious CSM than previous CSMs, which, you know, I can understand. Like, I don't know if you guys saw Pando's FC chat, which wasn't really an FC chat because it was like a CSM chat, but he basically had all the CSMs like together on a show, just talking about how this CSM year has been and how they felt about it and stuff like that. And they seem to be, you know, very at ease with each other, very jovial with each other, and you know, it definitely seemed as though there wasn't, you know, a huge amount of gaping chasms in terms of people's opinions about each other or about the game and that kind of thing. So I don't know how
that explains a lot.
Yeah,
I think there's a couple of things that we can chalk that up to for a start. Like, you've got to remember this recent CSM 17 is the first CSM to have an in-person Iceland summit since pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So that's 3 or 4 years, 3 years, I think, of CSM summits not happening in person and having to be done remotely, which is, you know, it's always been said by successful CSMs in the past that some of the best work that they do is at the summit, getting FaceTime with developers, you know, taking them out for a bar, to a bar for a drink, and chilling out, having some kind of less official chats with everything in writing, but just kind of talking about what the hell is going on. So that's, I think, definitely going to have been part of why they've felt so productive. And the other part is that they haven't had sheer insanity to deal with in the form of things like scarcity this year. You know, they had the faction warfare revamp as the key thing that was announced last year at the keynote, and there's been some other stuff going on recently with the Jove that they'll have been working on, but no major CCP craziness this last year. Too much. which has got to be helping them.
Well,
Very much so.
are you sure about that?
Think so?
I mean, the schedule does have some vague things on it
The schedule for
FanFest.
Eve Redacted.
Eve Redacted, yes.
That's a session happening on Saturday. For anybody who hasn't checked the CSM, or not CSM, the FanFest mega blog that was posted yesterday. Live stream for FanFest, just so people are aware, starts on Friday at 09:45 Eve time. The welcome ceremony to FanFest will be happening at 10:00 Eve time on Friday. That's the 22nd of this month. And then the keynote, which I'm sure everybody will want to know about timing for, is happening at 1500 Eve on Friday. Weird choice, but CCP made a decision. Live stream starts at the same time on Saturday, 09:45 Eve time. 12:30 is the Eve Redacted session, which looks like it's going to take between an hour and an hour and a half, based on those timelines.
Unfortunately, it will simply be a large black box covering the screen.
there's a big curtain that you won't be able to see behind.
And just some faint mumblings that you can't quite make out.
There's also 3 panels about Eve Redacted, so it seems to be the big thing this year.
Yeah, the safe assumption is probably that this is going to be about their next expansion, which we anticipate coming kind of October, November time. But they've been keeping quite close-lipped about that.
Which always turns out great, right? I mean, the last time they kept very close-lipped about changes, it was a big success, right?
Went really well for them.
Yeah.
Really well. Mac is currently showing you the shed.com schedule, which has a lot more on it, you'll note, than the live stream. The items in... That's the Thursday. So the items in... Is it green?
It's the items in green are special guest items. The ones in red are official as CCP stuff. And the blues are player presentations.
Right. So for the Friday and the Saturday, the items in red will be the stuff in the main hall mostly. It looks like
most likely.
This is your in-person guide if any of you are actually going to FanFest. And have fun if you are going to that Frozen Rock. I don't think any of us here on the show are, but I'm sure you will have fun drinking with people, if nothing else.
I'm enjoying the sun, although my camera doesn't seem to be enjoying the sun as much as me.
It's getting better.
It's getting a bit better? Okay.
So
the sun's kind of going down, so yeah.
I'm just curious, and maybe this ties into the whole "you're getting the cynics right now" thing. But has it occurred to anybody else that the CSM is going, yeah, no, this was a great session. We feel really, really productive. We've all gotten along really well, and we're really unified, and CCP is changing the format of the CSM?
I don't think I'd ever put it in quite so such a succinct way, but it is certainly a question, especially when you consider that the format changes that are coming to the CSM, we have been told by current CSM members, were initially intended to keep the CSM at 10 people, but introduce CCP's picks. And this was fought against very hard by the CSM, who said, look, if you're going to start picking people to add to the CSM, you need to add extra people, not just reduce the way people can vote for CSM reps. So that's I think that's probably a factor there, in this. Hey, the CSM is going really well for the CSM. It's potentially not going quite so well for CCP.
And CCP hasn't really done anything ridiculous or crazy this time. We all know that's not because they haven't had ridiculous or crazy ideas.
That's very true. Yeah. There are ridiculous ideas aplenty.
But then again, with Fanfest coming up, they might be just like, holding back on their ridiculousness and their stupid kind of ideas, and hoping to present said ridiculous, stupid ideas, and then basically saying, "Please clap."
I mean, perhaps.
Perhaps. Yeah.
So one thing I do also want to say, with the announcement of the upcoming CSM, who has won the election at the opening ceremony for FanFest this Friday, it's going to be our first glimpse, I think, at what we will be hearing from in the Eve redacted session, because CCP explicitly said when they announced this change that while they would be picking their extra 2 candidates from the people who land between 11th and 20th in the number of total votes cast, they did say that one thing that they wanted to focus on with their selection was people who will be able to help them in their development plans for the next year.
Yeah.
So the savvy viewer could take a look at who CCP pick and what areas of the game they profess to play most in and have the most experience with, and kind of draw some potentially kind of basic, but draw some conclusions as to what CCP are going to be doing over the next year and where we might see some of these weird and wacky ideas.
Very much so. I'm just finding that that particular article saying that they're changing and adding 2 new additional people, an updated. There we go, an updated CSM model. Yeah, there we go, found it. So yeah, it's so essentially on this particular article. Where is that? Yeah, to take advantage of this, for the CSM meeting, we'll be extending the size of the CSM from 10 to 12 seats. 10 members will be directly elected as usual during the same campaign. Then, from the candidates who finished on the 11th to the 20th positions, CCP will select 2 to join the 10 elected members, forming the new 12-member CSM 18. Yeah. Our selection will be based primarily on what areas of knowledge we perceive to be most valuable in the coming term, based on our plans for EVE development. Operationally, there will be no distinction made between the 10 elected and the 2 appointed members of the CSM. So interestingly, they will be basing it primarily, which is, I guess words.
Yeah, I mean,
Words.
what this says to me is that whoever they pick, if they're both low-sec players, we can kind of probably safely assume that a lot of their focus in the next year will continue to be on low-sec. If they pick more null-seckers, we might all have to start getting quite scared.
Yeah, but like, do you think they would even pick null-seckers,
No.
considering the amount of null-seckers that are going to be on the CSM anyway? Like,
no, I do not think they will ever.
Yeah, I doubt they'll pick more null-seckers. They may pick more kind of community-orientated members, or members from smaller subsections of the EVE community. And maybe
what
some.
What if those are null suckers?
Well, I'm thinking more sort of like
Because there are some community centered CSM candidates and some some of them that are like a bit wormhole, a bit low sec, that are actually null seckers.
Yeah, I mean, we can go to the CSM campaigns and stuff, right? Like, there's a fair amount of people who may not specifically be nullsec.
I don't think that they are gonna pick 2 CSM members that will fit with what they want to make in the next year. I'm pretty sure that they're gonna use this to get the candidates on the CSM that they feel like um, would fit into the CSM and could give good input, right?
Hmm.
People like Ithaca Hawk last year, for example, who just missed getting on the CSM. Now that's not an issue anymore because he's CCP now. So he did kind of get on the CSM in another
No,
kind of
now he
way.
can't be on the CSM.
Definitely cannot be on
Well,
it.
he's on the
But
other
he
end
isn't.
of the
But
CSM now.
he is in a different position of influence. Let's put it that way. Much more
Yeah,
direct.
I mean, he is now a game producer, so he's probably
That's
hearing
one way to
feedback
look at it.
from the CSM.
That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is now they can tell him, "Shut up or we fire you."
And if this is true. Oh god, I wonder whether we should just like segue straight into the whole CSM or CCP Fanfest recruitment booth or not.
I mean, we can talk about that because yeah,
because there is going to be a CCP recruitment booth at Fanfest. if you are mad enough,
So-
I
to want
mean,
to
they
do
did
this.
tell us. They did tell us there will be a recruitment booth. They didn't tell us what for.
So yeah, there's a this comes back to the mega blog, where there will be a number of other activities and other things to do around the arena, other than just the main production and the main sessions that are being live streamed. So there's a lot of player panels. I think was it Soft that mentioned there are 3 on Eve Redacted alone that are just panels that aren't live streamed anywhere or anything. This is kind of disappointing, and they never seem to be recorded for other players who aren't there to watch back after the event as well. So CCP, if you're watching, bit of feedback, record the panels and put them up on YouTube or something, so that we can see what was discussed, hear what was discussed, and discuss that further within the community, so that you can get more feedback and potentially better feedback.
So I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if you saw this particular one that I'm showing up at the moment from Caden Estemere of EV University.
That's being live streamed.
Predicting behavior in conflict, game theory
I think.
and online.
Isn't that one on the stream schedule? Yes. Yeah, it is. 13:30 on the Friday the 22nd.
Oh yeah, there you go. Right before the Eve keynote.
Yeah. So kind of pride of place, almost.
Yeah, just a bit,
But yeah, so other stuff that if you're actually going to Iceland, you can enjoy. Beer made specifically for Fanfest. They've partnered with a local Icelandic brewery to create a festival beer this year.
I mean, they've done it before on like meets and I think some events, right?
They fairly regularly do it for Fanfest, yeah. They've also partnered with a distillery to create a line of spirits. These spirits are not just for Fanfest attendees, though. They are available online. They are kind of expensive. Not gonna lie.
They are very expensive, but then again, actually, when you look at the distillery and the cost of the single malts and stuff like that they have there, they're also very expensive as well. Like almost basically as expensive as what's being, listed
Is
listed as these particular branding, Eve branding stuff, right?
is this another case of something being produced like in the US and then shipped to Iceland and
No.
then from
No,
Iceland?
no, this is
No,
very Iceland.
this is
This
actually
is
an Icelandic distillery doing Icelandic
Iceland.
um, spirits, and CCP have kind of repackaged them, one for each of the empires.
Yeah.
They work out at something like 100 to 110 USD a bottle.
That is damn expensive.
It is,
and the
well,
bottles
pretty damn
are
expensive.
only 500 mils. So
That is damn expensive.
it's
Yeah,
these are not cheap, but
not cheap at
I will
all.
say the boxes for them do look kind of cool.
They do.
Oh well,
There's
although for the
silver
price,
linings.
although for the price, I would hope that the labeling on the bottles have also been, branded similarly, right?
Oh yeah, like they're presented in kind of gift box style, as you can see on the screen right there. And
I'm trying to find the
yeah.
other image that I had of it.
You potentially got that directly from the pre-order website.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it, but carry on. I'll find it.
But yeah,
Okay,
so
cool.
there's two whiskies, an aquavit and a Brennivin in the lineup, and yeah, I don't know. If you're interested, take a look. It doesn't look like many of them are aged particularly. I'm trying to find specifically the. There it is. They're sheep dung reserve whiskey. I'm.
Okay.
I was gonna
Yeah,
make a comment earlier about these things actually being, like brewed from pea shark, but that's even better.
yeah, I know. It's just yeah.
It says it's single barrel aged for 3 years, and then they have the young malt, which is a 2-year age. It seems like this isn't a particularly the distillery was established in 2009, so it's only been going for a few years. But so that's possibly why they haven't got a 15-year or an 18-year yet. They've only been going for some 14 years. But I
mean,
would generally agree. A 7 to a 9-year age could be decent.
2009 was like 5 years ago, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Sure, let's go with that.
I've got. It was kind of funny because I've got this like review of the Floki Icelandic young malt, right? I'll just throw it up in here. Country Iceland, ABV 47, color warm gold, nose raw alcohol, palate alcohol, finish rather short and spicy, but rating is good. Apparently, it's like yeah, but I don't think this is a bad start for a spirit that's only 1 year old. So like you do have to remember that these sorts of things mellow with age, and it hasn't had that long to mellow out at this point.
After the alcohol burn, you can taste the beginnings of something delicious.
Yeah.
That's not the description I want on something that costs $100 for a bottle.
I know, right? Like, you think to yourself, like, maybe 100 once this is aged for a few years, right?
Yeah, I mean,
but then again, they're also talking about it as it being a young malt, so like clearly, I don't know.
Let's remember the rum I brought to the last meets we had. which is about $50 a bottle, and it's not some cheaty 500 ml bottle.
Yeah. I will say, it should be noted that in the UK, if this were being distilled in the UK, they literally legally would not be allowed to call this whiskey.
So the interesting thing as well is
So-
it comes there's a
Like-
gin that comes with it as well, which is Vor gin, right? From the Emmerbeck distillery, right? From Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
And in actual fact, like it depends on. So there's the flavor profile for you, right? So if you like a spicy, heaty kind of gin with some herbal and juniper, but not that much citrus and a little bit of floral, then it's kind of a gin for you. It on the overall, it basically says rarely a gin comes along which is so complex and flavorful, such a depth of intrigue that you can cut it some slack for not working in a Tom Collins. It works everywhere else, and if this were more widely available, would probably keep a bottle of in stock in my home bar, like according to the gin. The gin is in. So
I mean, that's a reasonable review, honestly.
yeah.
So it sounds like they've got some potential. They just need to work on their whiskey a little bit.
Yeah, they need to
I
work
would
on the
like to-
whiskey game.
I would like to commend Dawn for showing up more than 20 minutes
Yay.
in. Now that we have finished our Eve talk.
Yes, now time for Unity.
Congratulations. Oh,
I try.
how you doing, by the way?
I'm good. I'm just tired.
We woke you up.
Do you want to?
Woke you up.
Do you want to give it like 5 minutes and maybe wake up?
How is it that we yelled at Caleb and we woke up Dawn?
I stayed up late.
I
just needed to sleep in.
the cogs are turning. I can't quite put my finger on it. I would like to say, while we have a little bit of a break in the proceedings, say thank you to Juris Hacker for the 1 month subscription. Thank you very much. And of course all the follows as well. So yeah. Shall we get into Unity?
Oh yeah.
Well,
Shall
I did just have a couple more bits on the whole FanFest thing. They've also got the
okay.
art corner, the artistry bazaar. There's a data thing. You can talk to some CCPers here. Silent auction, as for every year. Charity auction with proceeds going to the Children's Hospital. So really good cause if you are there and want to bid on something. They've got the board game playtest. This is being developed in partnership with Titanforge. We've talked about this in previous episodes. But there's a new board game based on EVE Online that's in development and coming out soon, TM. It's on Kickstarter.
That's this one, right?
The board game playtest.
Yeah. That one.
Yes. Yeah, that one. Exactly. So that's there if you are interested in the board game. Maybe take a look. Then there's obviously CCP's recruitment booth to talk about job opportunities on a frozen rock in the middle of the North Atlantic.
Yep.
If working on a frozen rock in the middle of the North Atlantic is something that appeals to you,
yeah,
go take a talk. Go have a conversation with
Where
them.
they clearly charge too much for booze.
Yes. CCP are recruiting. You can find all of their jobs online. And there's like 16 or 17 roles available at CCP in a couple of different areas and places around the world. So, go ahead and take a look if you're interested. And then finally, the last thing I want to comment about here is the Genolution Resculpting Bay.
Yes.
Which is a typical FanFest thing where you get to, get your hair done or makeup sorted if you're a role player or whatever. And then the tattoo booth, where if you want to get, an Amarian emblem
if you want to get
somewhere.
if you want to get Hilmar's face tattooed on your chest,
or potentially somewhere else, you know, have a conversation with them. I do wonder just how artistic they can get with it, or whether or not it's mostly template stuff. So if anybody has been to this before, or in the chat, or is gonna go this year, let us know. How artistic do they get with their EVE Online tattoos?
Does anybody watching have an Eve tattoo of some form? It would be kind of interesting as well. And if so, whether you got it there or somewhere else. That would be cool.
Yeah, let us know.
Other than that, apparently there was a large scale mosaic that was composed.
Yeah, that was a 20th anniversary thing that they did in May. Basically, anybody who was a subscribed character in May got on that.
So none of us are on that.
Dirk is on that. My main's on that.
My alt's going to be on that. My main probably isn't. My alt is.
You cheated, Dirk.
I didn't cheat.
You definitely cheated.
I would say this mosaic is a cheat as well, because although it is really cool,
is a cheat. Yes,
it's a complete cheat, because it's not like, oh, let's look at the composition of all of these and order them in a way that basically makes that that image comparable. It's literally just an overlay of that image with people's avatars just like slightly transparent, like
they've created a tile of all of the character portraits, and then just put a transparent version of the image over the top of it. It's It would be cool if they'd actually done stuff with the player backgrounds or whatever to get the gradient, but such is life.
CCP gonna CCP.
Yeah.
But for once, they're not the biggest idiots out there.
Yes, for once, they're not the biggest idiots out there. Who's the biggest
that
idiot out there? That seems to be a segue. Definitely
That's a very good one.
Take it away, Dawn.
What?
Oh,
that is
fantastic.
Exactly the reaction I expected, and exactly the speed I expected.
Bravo, Dawn.
Oh.
I tried.
We know.
Really, really good job.
I mean, so this is the issue with this is an ongoing thing to do with Unity, and Unity is basically a game engine developer. If you don't know who Unity is, they develop game engines for people to license and build games from, and have been doing it for quite some time. In actual fact,
you may have heard of the Unity engine.
You may have heard of the Unity engine. You may have heard of a certain CCP called CCP Seagull, right? She went to Unity. In actual fact,
if you haven't heard of Unity, then you might have heard of a few games that use the Unity engine. For example, Rust, or Pillars of Eternity, or Among Us, or Untitled Goose Game, Genshin Impact. Tunic, really good.
Also, probably most of your favorite mobile games made with Unity.
Yep.
Yes. So here's a quick breakdown of games that use Unity. Cuphead, Untitled Goose Game. City Skylines, Among Us, Fall Guys, Pokemon Go, Beat Saber, Rust, Subnautica, Hearthstone, RimWorld, Outer Wilds, as was said, Genshin Impact, Escape from Tarkov, Van Helm,
BattleTech, yes, I've forgotten BattleTech was
yeah.
a Unity game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, basically, lots of really great games.
Lots of really great games. Yeah. The issue is that I need to find this now, aren't I? Do you want to quickly run by what they announced, and I'll see if I can find the tweet that they put out?
So, Unity announced that from now on, game developers,
From the start of
that
next year,
start of next year, yes,
January 1st.
that make over $200,000 yearly, I believe, will have to pay a fee for every installation of their games.
No, that's not. It's not quite it. That's not quite it. See, the big studios that use Unity Enterprise, the Enterprise package, um, they'll have to pay an additional fee per download, which means, if you download it, something happens to your computer and you have to download it again, that counts twice, of their end product after they make $1 million in the last 12 months or have 1 million downloads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, that's quite loud.
Thanks, Don.
Dawn is Dawn here reminding us that she set an alarm to come join us on the show.
Oh, it was
However-
a get out of bed alarm. So.
However, for the lower end versions, the smaller licenses, that, the sort of thing that your struggling indie studio would be using, those kick in the extra pricing, which is higher, by the way, at 20 cents a copy, as opposed to like 2 cents a copy. Those kick in at 200,000 downloads and $200,000 in the last year. So the indie guys, they get fucked harder sooner.
Yeah, they get fucked harder and sooner because they're paying a little less per year.
Yeah, we mentioned some of the big AAA games, but as I've mentioned already, some of your favorite mobile games will be running Unity. These are the kind of indie devs that are going to get fucked over royally by the charges that Horrendous has just laid out, right? Like, the mobile game developers are the ones who are making most of their money from microtransactions and adverts in their games.
If they are, like
if they're making money at all,
some of them don't make money at all. They're literally just doing it as a passion project or as a means to basically teach themselves how to design and develop games. And if you, according to this, basically, if you are doing that using the Unity engine after next year, if your game suddenly takes off, even if it's just a passion project, you might be liable to actually having to fork over hundreds of thousands, if not maybe millions of dollars to Unity, just on the basis that that you made something that was popular, right? You may not have made any money out of it whatsoever.
It gets even worse, because they are probably planning on tracking this via hardware IDs.
Yes, this is another issue.
So if you have to reinstall because you had to replace something.
No, it gets worse than
or
that.
if you just replace your processor.
No,
even worse.
You're failing to see what the true horror is here.
Okay.
Spoofing your hardware ID is something that cheat developers really like to do, right? Because to circumvent a hardware ID ban, you just spoof your hardware ID, right? There are already scripts to do this, basically hours after Unity announced this. So imagine this. Someone gets mad at a game developer because they got banned in their favorite game for cheating, so they run the script 100,000 times.
No, Soft. You haven't thought it through.
I haven't.
You haven't. Someone gets mad at this game developer because of some bullshit. and they're in charge of a large nullsec block and marshal
yeah.
10,000 people to do this.
You don't even need to go that far, though. Like, a single person on their own can fuck a developer.
Sure, but like an entire null block could screw like a AAA developer, like one of the like you could conceivably fuck EA if you try hard enough for long enough.
Yeah, but EA is perfectly fine doing that themselves.
That's true.
There's also
can I
some
get some
other stuff to this.
Can I get some
in terms of the-
clarification real quick? Right, because there's a little like FAQ here for some things. One bit basically says, will developers be charged the Unity runtime fee for subscription-based games? Right, developers, right? They say no. In the case the developer is not distributing it, we're not going to invoice the developer on subscription-based games. So who are they going to? Invoice?
I would.
They pass the charge onto the publisher, so like Microsoft or Apple
that's what I
or
was thinking.
Daybreak.
I would also like to know why the fuck are they charging for downloads or installations of a game? They don't have anything to do with that, right? They don't do the distribution. Why do we have to pay them for the distribution if they aren't involved in it?
Well, we don't. The developer.
Well, no.
Come on, the cost will be handed over to the customer. You know that's going to happen.
Of course
they will.
Your free game install is suddenly going to be costing you like 49 cents. And the reason for this is because they need to fork over some money to Unity, right? Like,
or because they hope to need to.
But can you imagine what, like, say Microsoft are thinking, or say like EA, like Apple, that kind of thing, looking at this and
Daybreak.
basically going like
Daybreak does a lot of stuff with other developers,
I know, but
and they just handle the distribution.
Yeah, I get that, but like, essentially what I'm saying is like just basically things like Steam, right? They're going to be they're not going to be having to deal with like just one game or one developer that they work with closely, having fees from Unity being levied on them. It's going to be an absolute ton of people who may essentially be sort of running the Unity kind of the Unity engine, right? Like this to me, it almost looks it. I mean, yeah, not anymore. I mean, I can imagine that Microsoft and PlayStation and Steam and Epic and all that kind of all of these kind of places basically going, look, we appreciate and we enjoyed working with you, but like if you're running Unity, we can't distribute your game, just period.
But CryEngine exists, so bye.
Yeah.
What's already happening is that a ton of developers already said that their games won't be available anymore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
get them now because they're going to be yanking them on like New Year's Eve, basically. Because this kicks in the 1st of January. Get your games now.
Yeah, I know the Rust developer was looking at what had said something specifically about that.
Cult of the Lamb, for example, announced that they're pulling their game.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just quickly trying to find this thing from the Rust developer as well.
And if anyone is wondering here, who the idiot is that had this grand idea, you might be shocked to know that
it wasn't Tilmar.
That it was John Riccitiello, who's also known as
who was John Riccitiello?
He is the ex-CEO of EA, and he left EA after they were named the worst company in the world twice in a row.
Twice.
Left or fired?
Not just once.
Fired.
But yeah, he was CEO of EA interestingly enough, also twice, 2 periods, early 2000s and then the early 2010s. It was in the early 2010s that they were that they earned those awards, I think. Soth. Basically, he's the microtransaction guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy who, will tell you microtransactions are the future.
He also said that game developers are dumb for not monetizing their games harder.
This is the same guy who, although he didn't actually specifically mention, push this idea, he mentioned it apparently in a closed meeting that was recorded at one point, that players would be more incentivized to pay $1 to reload their weapon once they're 9 or 10 hours into a game.
And
that
just to add even more to this, all right, as we were pointed out by a helpful Wibbler earlier,
it's not just him.
It's not just him.
Yes.
11 of the 13 board members that he answers to are investment bankers.
Because this one of the reasons
because
Unity
Unity went public 3 years ago.
Yeah, they are.
And
public.
the people who bought themselves in, they don't give a shit about game development.
There
No,
have
they really
also
do not.
been some questionable decisions ever since they went public, like like buying up companies that are kind of dying for billions of dollars.
Just to kind of before we get specifically onto this, right? One of the main reasons why they've said that they're bringing this out is because they are, hemorrhaging money right now, right? They've been making losses in terms of year on year, right? Why do you think Why do you think they've been making losses? Do you think it might be something to do with, their licensing kind of policies, or do you think it might be down to maybe mergers and acquisitions?
I think it's mergers and acquisitions.
Over leveraging themselves, probably. Yeah. It's not as if Unity is a product that isn't evergreen, right? Sure, they've got to make improvements. They've got to keep it up to date with modern gaming standards. But overall, Unity is a stalwart product in the gaming industry. It's used anywhere and everywhere. CCP themselves were planning on using it for a now cancelled game, I believe. They used Unity for a while on development of that.
All of that cloud-based mass test stuff was all done through Unity.
Yeah, they weren't before they decided to make a stupid decision. They weren't going anywhere, and those income sources, especially from the studios that use their enterprise and greater licensing situations, they were making money there. So realistically, the issue is them over leveraging themselves to try and buy up these other studios, buy up these other businesses that were, as Soth points out, kind of on their way out when they were being bought for probably too much money, and trying to keep them afloat. It's a really interesting kind of situation. The thing from Wibbler that Arendis mentioned. There's a point in here. Unity, so 2 of their investment points suggested they would invest $1 billion into Unity if Unity bought Iron Source, which was a monetization company that was heading down the drain. Unity bought them $4.4 billion.
Yeah, so this
They
is
got
an
$1 billion
Israeli
back
support.
in investment.
And
Yeah.
I just want to point out that one of the directors of what are they called again?
Iron Source, yeah.
Iron Source.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the directors of Iron Source is actually on the board of directors of Unity now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a
So, like,
coincidence!
there was
Yeah,
even,
To-
apparently,
Toma Bazi.
there was even apparently a rival monetization company that was offering to give Unity more money than they would have from the investment if they dumped Iron Source and partnered with them. So it's like,
And not by a little.
no, by
This-
orders of magnitude.
By the way, this deal was met with criticism from game developers due to Iron Source's affiliation with malware. Just so you know.
Yeah, it's decisions like these that expose you to massive costs and leave you going, holy shit, we are hemorrhaging money into this thing to try and keep it functional so that we can get a return. You know, it's dumb, but there we are. You know, Unity have decided to take the high road and charge developers. So, I guess a lot of people are going to be refactoring their games or just pulling them and leaving them in the dirt somewhere.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Unreal Engine would get tools to port Unity games over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine so.
I'd also point out to anybody who's watching who might be doing stuff with Unity and be worried about what's going on here. Godot is another engine that exists, and Humble actually has a great bundle at the minute with a bunch of guides and introductions to how to use Godot, and it's available for relatively cheap for the amount of value you get back. So check out the Humble bundle if you're interested in Unity and switching away from Unity.
If I remember correctly, it's $1,000 worth of Godot stuff for $30.
Yeah, roughly. So there's some huge value there. And this is all to say, you know, Unity made a decision that's going to fuck them with their customer base. And they made it so easy for those customers to go, well, actually, there are rival products out there. We don't need you.
So just quickly, this kind of page right here is from Gary Newman. It says, Gary Newman's kind of like blog posting sort of thing, right? Gary Newman is the guy who basically founded Face Punch, which is the developer of Rust. And yeah, I mean, you know, the title it is very, very obvious, right? Unity can get fucked. But like literally he says down at the bottom here, we've had 10 years to make our own engine and never did. I'm sure a lot of game companies are feeling the same today. Let's not make the same mistake again. Rust 2 definitely won't be a Unity game. And so if you've seen Rust 2 like trending anywhere, like it's basically because of that, because people are like, there will be a Rust 2 and it won't be on Unity. So yeah.
I like this.
It won't be an Alec Baldwin sequel.
I like this analogy that he's got in this particular piece that he's written.
Yeah.
You know, this is like Adobe charging all users of Photoshop per image view and trying to invent a system in which way they can track and invoice you for this.
Well, that's the biggest one, right? Unity announced that they're going to do this, but they don't even know how they're going to do it yet.
Yeah, they don't have any way to actually track it.
This just screams of like, you know, CEOs having zero clue how stuff works and just inventing like, oh, we're going to do this, and then, you know, our team of engineers, the people who work below us who don't get don't get the money for all the big ideas can work out the how and the why. all the
Yeah.
Honestly,
why, the how,
I don't even think this is like Adobe doing this with Photoshop. This is like Adobe doing this with the PDF format they invented.
Lol. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, that
Oh
actually
god,
is
yeah.
probably better. But yeah, I mean, there was a tweet very early on after they announced this week. Basically, they announced it on Twitter, and then they backtracked on Twitter, and they did a whole bunch of extra comms on the topic. But the
Yeah.
tweet basically said, "How will you be able to tell the install numbers or whatever?" And the response that they got was, well, it's a proprietary system, so you'll understand if we can't talk about it too much. And at that point, the response was, okay, well, how does that track with GDPR and EU legislation on data protection? Especially if you're gathering especially if you're gathering data from hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of individual devices. You know,
Right.
there's going to be a level of question as to what are you doing with that data.
Alright.
Yeah, CCP.
Bye, Dawn.
Why did I say CCP? Bye, but yeah, bye, Dawn.
It's just
That's why.
we're used to being all ragey and annoyed at CCP for doing dumb things, but it's not CCP this time. It's weird.
So yeah,
It's
Unity
like,
are
oh,
gonna have to.
CCP. What did I do this time? Oh, force of habit.
By the
Sorry,
way,
CCP.
just if there is any CCPs watching or watch, at a later date. By the way, this is an aspirational. This is not what you should be looking to do. This is a cautionary tale from the very, very, very near past / present. So just so we know, just so we're clear, don't be doing this shit.
That there are
Anyway.
ways to monetize, and trying to do it per install of your game or of your product is not the way.
Yeah. Dear God.
Hi, CCP Paragon. Welcome to the chat.
Hey, Paragon. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for acknowledging this. Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's been a clusterfuck, man. Like, oh my God.
it's been a hell of a week for Unity, and it's still not over.
So,
it's gonna be going for a while. This is
so dumb.
and
Like,
so I need to.
This is like CCP saying, "Listen, we're gonna tack on a 1 penny surcharge on your account per bullet fired."
So
gold ammo?
right.
No,
okay.
because that you have to buy. That's different.
I am going to remind you guys that we have a standing agreement not to speak these terrible ideas into the universe.
No, I'm saying CCP would never do that. I'm saying CCP is smart enough not to make this mistake.
Right, CCP?
Yeah, so
I think it's definitely going to be interesting if Unity keeps doubling down or start backpedaling, because they already backpedaled a bit.
yeah,
When they said that new installations on the same PC actually won't get another charge for the developer. Because originally they planned to do that as well.
yeah, here, install Escape from Tarkov, and then, a year later you've uninstalled it because you weren't playing it, but you go, oh, I'm going to revisit that game and see what happens. See what's changed. Oh, yeah. There's another charge.
Yeah, what updates have come in?
And so the worst thing.
You're playing a roguelike that you really like, right? And you play it for a few days, and then you have to uninstall it to make space for the next Call of Duty, right?
Yeah.
So you play Call of Duty for a week, and you uninstall it because you played through the campaign, and multiplayer isn't really your thing. So you install your roguelike again, right? Because you really like it.
And chances are, at this point, Unity have charged somebody for each of the 3 installs that you've just done.
Yeah,
Because
it's really...
Yeah. Dominok saying in Twitch chat that he's seeing Unity claims that only 10% of developers will be affected by this new fee. Given how many developers are coming out and saying, hey, look, if this happens, we won't be able to carry on this way. We'll have to change something. I would be very skeptical of Unity's claims on this topic.
No, they do have a point. It probably is just 10%, but it's the 10% of games that actually get some reach, right? That actually are good and well designed, and that a lot of people want to play. Which incidentally are the games that give Unity its good name, right?
Yeah.
So they are fucking themselves over in multiple ways here. Like, sure, it's not gonna hurt the person who uses Unity to get into making games, into coding, right? Those people are not going to be affected because most of them, their games will be seen by like 10 people, right? So it doesn't really affect
Unless, oddly enough, unless you're extremely unlucky.
them. Yeah.
that bit was that
Unless you are unlucky enough to be successful, yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
The moment where you have to
Weird way of saying it.
If you're trying to figure out the publishing paths, you're going to put it on Google Play, and you put it up on Google Play, and you hope that nobody notices this and puts it on social media.
Yeah.
That when you're hoping to not get reach for your product, that's a weird space to be in.
It's a very strange one, right? Like, oh my god. So there is a deeper, slightly deeper tie-in to CCP with Unity, and that's to do with Spatial OS. And so, do you recall that particular company with reference to CCP in any way, shape, or form?
This was what Horrendous was alluding to earlier with the cloud-based testing stuff that they were doing, right?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the company.
It was a company called Spatial OS that was basically creating a cloud-based runtime environment for games, and so that this was looked at by CCP as a means of being able to essentially maybe port the the main engine of EVE Online to something that can scale much better, much more widely, to be able to run EVE Online literally in the cloud. And I know that that's such a horrendous terminology, but essentially the idea was to use Unity, use Spatial OS as kind of like systems to host the game in the cloud, and then that would allow what is essentially the game as it currently stands to be able to be able to leverage leverage computing on like multiple PCs, multiple CPUs, all that kind of thing, so we don't have like CPU bottlenecks and stuff. There were some tests, some player tests, some those sorts of things happening. This was a while ago. Yeah, this was Hadean's.
Hadean was the company name. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, let me just find that. And so basically, that whole system was designed under Spatial OS, and Spatial OS had a license, was licensing, guess what? Unity. and the one thing which I always thought was like really strange was like how that like that was that whole kind of that whole kind of uh sort of program kind of thing was like just it was progressing slowly, but it was progressing, and then suddenly it just stopped, right? We never really got any explanation as to why it stopped in any way, shape, or form, but it seems as though it stopped because um
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what Hadean are
essentially
doing nowadays.
it's essentially Spatial OS had basically had Unity come in and block, like they basically they changed their terms of service without telling
They
Spatial OS, and then just
they
blocked it by saying that they were in breach of it.
they amended their terms of service.
Yeah. So this from VentureBeat, basically, Special OS developer Improbable revealed today that the change in Unity's terms of service has now made the company's tool in breach of the game's license terms. Overnight, this is an action by Unity that has immediately done harm to projects across the industry, including those of extremely vulnerable small-scale developers, and damaged major products in development over many years. Special Office.
Yeah, so I'm looking at their list of looking at Hadeans specifically, their list of project partners.
Yeah.
And it certainly looks like there's some gaming stuff in here. Epic Games, Minecraft, Microsoft. But also they're doing a lot of stuff in kind of real life other industries.
They've been doing a lot of different things. Yeah.
Companies like Thales and the UK Ministry of Defence and stuff. They're doing interesting stuff, but it doesn't seem like it's specifically gaming focused anymore. It's more of a how do we get your games into the cloud kind of thing using Microsoft's Azure offering and things like that. So yeah, I'm not sure how much more we might see from Hadean in the future. But obviously we haven't heard much about their partnership with CCP in a couple of years. So who knows? Gonna have to wait and see. Maybe we hear something about it at Fanfest. Maybe somebody somewhere at one of the panels hears something about it at Fanfest. Maybe not.
You never
know. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
It is the weekend, so as it is the weekend, business types don't generally do decision making on the weekend. They wait until Monday. So for additional face palming moments, you're gonna have to wait a couple of days.
Yeah, exactly. We'll wait and see what Unity say on Monday when they when their wonderful PR department gets back into the office.
Oh God, yeah, that's gonna be a fucking day.
Because God knows, when you've dug yourself in this deep in the shit, the one thing you really want to do is not respond for a few days.
Yeah, just let the anger,
It'll burn out, guys. It'll burn out.
Right?
People will move on to the next thing. There will absolutely be no stories whatsoever about Unity following terribly received announcement on new payment structure goes dark for a week. No speculative articles in the mainstream media. Nothing. Nowhere. Won't happen.
So,
Unity is publicly traded nowadays. Yeah, they went public in 2020.
I do have a little bit of a correction there to an earlier statement. You did say that this week it wasn't CCP who fucked up, but that's not entirely true.
Oh no. Here we go, guys. What have you got for us, Doth?
Right. Okay.
So,
Okay.
May
not be too bad.
There was a questionnaire going around about the Alliance tournament.
Oh yes.
Oh right.
and,
Yes.
For those who opened it on mobile, it seems that the age group between 35 and 43 doesn't exist.
Just disappeared.
So I'm sorry to say, but if you are seeing or hearing me right now, you're imagining this because according to CCP, I don't exist.
Impressive.
It's an interestingly specific age range to target as well.
Yes.
35 to 43. Like
that's like on the top of the bell curve of like, you know, age ranges that people play EVE Online.
Well, yeah, but my point is more that bit of, you know, sure,
So-
under 17, 18 to 24, but then you get 25 to 34.
Wait. Hang on a second. Like the age range we're talking about, isn't that like the upper, I don't know, 2/3 of like millennials and shit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
35, 35
In your
43.
fucking face, millennials! Now you know what Gen X has been dealing with for years. They forgot you exist.
That's pretty much 80 to 90% of millennials. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Right. So, or in this, just for a start, nobody can forget millennials exist because they're constantly being complained about.
No,
Or they're bitching that people forget they exist.
We're ruining everything. Come on.
Millennials are always the ones at fault, unless, you know, you're a Gen Zoomer going around there. But
It's a new one.
You know,
Gen Zoomer. Okay.
Okay, Zoomer.
But it's that bit of like, all right, 25 to 34, great, that's an age range. But then you would expect, okay, 35 to 44, not 35 to 43, because then you have 45 to 54, 55 to 64, and so on. Also, I'd love to see CCP's numbers on the amount of over 65s responding to that survey. I think that would be fantastic numbers to
I don't
release.
know, ask Steve.
True.
But yeah,
the question is also like, if you get this survey, like, what do you do? Like, do you just not fill it out? Do you click 65 plus? Because I don't know.
No, you just don't fill it out. They don't want to hear from you.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're in the age group they left off, that is them telling you don't bother.
Also, symbiotes, if you can imagine me, you can imagine me being your friend. It's okay.
You really don't want to.
Start roping you into things.
Save yourself.
Oh. Well, one thing.
Imagining yourself having to put up with materials on everything.
One thing I have to wonder.
CCP were good sports about it, and I believe they fixed it. I don't know. I hope they did.
Well, one thing that I hope they fixed that doesn't reoccur this Sunday. It is unscheduled downtime.
Yeah,
it's been happening a lot, hadn't it?
It's been more frequent than it should be, and it's slightly alarming now that it's occurred a few more than a couple of times now. So.
Was it all the fault of ESI again?
Probably. It's a good excuse, at least. That's how you take ESI offline.
Well, I mean, at least it's happening so close to FanFest, so they can actually like say something about it on stage.
I'm sure they'll. I'm sure they'll say something about it on stage, right? Like they won't leave that hanging or not actually, you know, tackle the elephant in the room. But you never know. You never know. But interestingly,
What you're saying
I
is
find
they're
it.
going to make Aurora talk about it.
I have no idea. Well, I mean, I hope not, because she deserves praise.
She does.
For what she's done.
I mean,
absolutely does.
Fublington here is suggesting, he's guessing that none of us can remember 2004. I mean, which part of 2004 do you really want to talk about? But I
wasn't playing in 2004, so
I can absolutely remember 2004. Fuck, I can remember 1984. That has nothing to do with modern stability issues.
But the fact of the matter is that CCP and EVE Online has not seen these kinds of downtime events very frequently in the last few years, right? Like, overall, yeah, sure, the game performance when you're in significantly large fights might be struggling. There might be a node that has serious issues, but there's not been like completely taking the game offline issues like this.
Oh, come on, Dirk.
A few years now.
The game goes down every day.
Yeah, but
for how many hours at a time does it go down every day, Arindus?
I don't know, like 15 minutes tops.
Exactly. So when you're seeing
hey, I remember when it was going when it went down for like 35, 40 minutes. So 15 minutes is good nowadays.
That's right.
15 minutes is great nowadays, but
yeah.
When you're talking about
sometimes it's not even 15 minutes. Sometimes it's like
it's more like 3. Yeah.
Yeah. It's super quick now, unless they're actually patching. Unless it's like a Tuesday and they're actually patching. But if they're not patching, then yeah, it's generally like sub 5 minutes.
Do they still do their patches on Tuesday? I thought they'd switched that out. I thought they were doing them on like Thursdays now.
I mean, it's an industry like standard of patching on Tuesdays because like
which is why they do it on Thursday.
What? No, Tarkov patches on a Saturday.
Well, this is Tarkov. They do things differently.
So when is Tarkov patching out the Unity engine?
Realistically,
that's a good question. Actually,
they really have to do it.
I mean, realistically, Soth, you say Tarkov patches on a Saturday. Tarkov patches whenever the fuck the developers feel like it.
Tarkov,
including
Tarkov
on New Year's Day,
on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, like they just go, well, it's ready now, so
might as well.
Fine, yeah, away we go. Let's see what happens.
It's like Nikita goes into the office and is like, "What does this button do?" No, bother to click.
All right, guys, guess we're working overtime today.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Okay,
so what I find interesting about the whole unscheduled downtime is the fact that like the ESI seems to be tied into this pretty heavily, and I'm wondering why. Like confused as to why, because I know I had my own like little conspiracy theory as to why it might be happening. I was reliably informed that I'm completely batshit crazy. Because nobody would do such a thing.
I am going to put you to Twitch chat, McLeod.
And it's not tied in or implemented in that way to be vulnerable, like for the Eve cluster to be vulnerable in that kind of way. But basically,
I am going to direct you to Twitch chat.
Oh, okay.
Take a look.
Oop. Oh, they were unrelated. Oh, okay. Thank you, Paragon. Paragon's basically saying they're both unrelated. One being the network malfunction, the other being some infrastructure changes. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fair enough. I was concerned, Paragon. I was concerned that like somebody was basically DDoSing the ESI server or the ESI ingest servers in some way, shape, or form, and that was cascading some way into the actual cluster and bringing the cluster down.
Yeah, and we keep telling you that's not how it works.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
Matt
I mean, it's not
going
like he's
strong on those conspiracy theories.
Hey, I liked it because it explained a couple of things to do with the ESI, basically, like, swatting a whole bunch of people away, a bunch
look.
of
It's Dirk
developer
Soft.
kind of things away.
It's not like he suggested that CCP was referencing an ESI hook themselves and that they were creating a circular loop that just completely crashed everything all on their own. That would be ridiculous.
I know, right?
And for anybody out there listening, I did not just suggest that.
Nobody has suggested that. It's not a
Nobody is
suggestion.
saying that.
Allegedly.
That falls under there was a rumor one time, maybe.
No, there has
God.
not been a rumor. There has not been a rumor. We are completely and categorically denying there was ever a rumor.
All
This
right,
week.
you heard it here first. Horrendous denying that any rumors exist ever. What is the concept of a rumor? He doesn't know because rumors don't exist.
Yeah, rumors are just a thing that's in your head, apparently, according to Horrendous.
Rumors are those little robot vacuums.
No, those are Roombas.
Same thing.
So what you're saying is, push to talk viewers should really go see a doctor because they aren't just seeing softs that don't exist.
They're
That's
also
right.
hearing.
That's right.
They're
That's right.
also hearing rumors that don't exist.
I mean, I'm not saying that. That would be a rumor.
This is making me wonder.
But
Actually,
if many
Horrendous, do you
people,
do you
if
have a
many
Roomba?
people are saying that next week, I mean, that's not my fault.
I'm there, kind of wondering to myself now, Horrendous. Do you have a Roomba? I'm curious because you have a cat, so like
No, of
I'm
course I don't
wondering
have a
what.
Roomba. I have a cat.
Well, I mean,
The last thing I need is
your cat
the
would
last
enjoy.
the last thing I need is to give my cat a robotic assistant.
I mean, you say assistant. I would say target.
Well, no, I
Because
was thinking
your cat is
in
very
my head.
Your cat is very much on the murdery side.
In my head, it was
If I could guarantee it would be a target, I'd be okay with it, Dirk.
It means he's less of a target. It's more of a target.
Right, but I can't. And I'm not risking the assistant bit.
Makes sense, yeah. I was just thinking, like, with regards to your cat sitting on the Roomba as it's like going about.
No.
And that would be more of an assistant kind of role, the Roomba to your cat.
I'd have to cover the whole thing in plastic. She likes to sit on plastic. I don't know why.
That doesn't really help with the operation of the Roomba.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a robot. It doesn't need operating. It does the operating itself. That's the entire point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Fubblington. That is an accurate description of Horrendous's cat. It's a bit on the murdery side.
Yeah.
So, do we want to talk about the boys' club that is the CSM?
I
Boys
mean,
club? What? Boys club? No, there's no boys clubs here.
Apparently, it's a boys' club, according to some people.
I think Arcia would object to that.
I would say Arcia should seriously, be aggravated at that.
So it seems like someone got a bit mad that the meta show last week did a tally of what blocks are voting how and how that's gonna affect who's gonna get on the CSM.
Okay.
I find that really weird because that's kind of like that's almost like saying like, oh my god, there's political kind of discourse and stuff like that in EVE Online. Wow, like I mean, obviously not like real world political discourse, but like
How dare the meta show point out that goons are going to vote for the goon candidates?
Oh, it wasn't
Yeah,
just goons. It also was hostile blocks, right?
I know, but I mean that's the whole thing. It's like, oh my god, you're actually pointing out shit that's accurate. I will be mad at you for this.
Yeah.
Once again, somebody has decided to get on their soapbox and suggest that because like subsections of the EVE community get together to decide how they're going to vote in order to maximize the chance of their candidate getting elected.
Yeah, it's
This
like,
is somehow
do you really think that
unreal.
Look, Dirk.
because goons or like Brad, for example, are able to put at least one candidate on the CSM, we just put some random idiot on the CSM? No, of course not. We're going to put our best representative on the CSM.
What both of you have to understand is that, we need to make sure that nobody on the CSM gets there by any result of anything that resembles actual politics, like, political parties or anything like that.
So we're going to roll the dice?
No. Because politics can roll dice too.
I'm going to go ahead and point something out to whoever this may be, and I'm going to hope that they hear this message somehow down the line. If you have a popular election, the way people get elected is by getting a majority of votes.
The big problem that HiSec has had through all of the years of the CSM election is that democracy goes to the people who organize. Always. That's how it happens. So, you don't like it, get organized.
As they say in actual campaigns, decisions are made by those who show up. And yeah, showing up with 1,000 of your closest friends is a better way to get decisions made in your favor.
And
as
someone also pointed out,
as with any other conflict in EVE, it comes down to N+1, guys.
And as someone also pointed out, the incumbent CSM
you mean incumbent?
Actually an incumbent.
No, the incubatory CSM.
I was just worried. I just wanted to make sure he didn't mean incubus CSM.
I just want to point out that not knowing how to pronounce words is because you learned the language by reading a lot.
He's put them in tanks. I'm telling you. He's got the CSM in a basement in tanks.
Not all of them.
I would just like to point out, Soth, that not knowing how to pronounce
the one that isn't
words
in a tank is the
often
incubus.
a result of being British.
Hey.
Right. Anyway, someone pointed out
that's not fair.
They actually
really
okay. Maybe it might be a little bit fair, but
Have you ever heard any? And I'm serious about this. Any American, Australian, Canadian, Kiwi, whatever. Have you ever heard any of them mispronounce the word adversary? But adversary is so fucking common among the Brits. Screw you people, you've forgotten how to do your own language.
It's probably
we developed the language.
The word adversary comes
no, you didn't.
Everyone but the Brits.
Okay, we stole a lot of bits of the language. And use it together to make a much more effective
cobbled
language.
This shit together like you Dr. fucking Frankenstein.
Yes.
Oh, where was?
And it works quite well for us. Thank you very much.
Well, Frankenstein lost control of his monster too.
Yeah, why do you think the world's in such a fucked state right now?
And then he got killed by it.
That's just Brexit. God.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And we are straying a bit too far into real life politics there
Also,
as we go from
although
the CSM in tanks to.
I suppose that Britain as Frankenstein also applies to the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
Thanks,
but-
guys. Something else to blame England for. Global warming is all your fault.
In other news, it seems like
so back to the CSM and being a boys club.
So as I was saying before we went stupid,
which is before the show started. Come on.
Oh Jesus.
That's got nothing to do with this week's off. Anyway, you were saying.
I actually wanted to segue to another thing that happened this week.
I've got more events.
Well, barely this week.
Just how much has gone on this week?
This one's just funny. Like it's nothing big. It seems like Init went up against a foe they can't beat.
Oh.
They lost a Thunderchild fleet to a single Vexor Navy issue.
Oh Jesus! I don't know why or what the hell was happening with this to have for this to occur, but like, I mean, Christ,
that sounds
it
impressive.
Is funny.
It seriously impressive. Like,
I mean,
you gotta have conviction to basically keep that like squad of Thunderchilds like there and just let it.
Like, did he just fly into the middle of them and they all blew one another up?
No. They landed on him in an attempt to somehow hit and kill him.
They landed on him and fired at zero, huh?
Yes. They landed on him, fired at zero, carried on firing at zero until they were dead. They also had smart bombs on as well, which was fantastic.
I mean, this is brilliant.
And they weren't built to resist their own damage type.
I mean, I guess they were, but they didn't have any like active. Well, one, they didn't seem to have any neuting capability, and they didn't seem to have any repair capability. They were just going off like buffer EHP, and unfortunately, the guy who they're trying to kill, has a repper and has like
you gotta
a cap
say
booster.
Though, it looks damn cool while they're dying.
Oh yeah, it does look damn cool while they're dying for sure.
But I'm sure they felt somewhat differently when they saw the battle report of
yes,
9 Thunderchilds dead, the associated pods all dead. The battle report showing 18 ships killed for a total of 18.65 billion ISK, and they killed nothing.
They killed
nothing. Walked.
Well, they probably killed a few drones. Let's be honest here.
They did, yeah. They killed. Well, no, they did kill their own drones.
Yeah, the details.
Why would you launch drones in that situation?
I don't know.
So it can jump to something that's not yourself.
because this is
just
a more
spread out.
Because this is a more definitive end to those drones rather than just leaving them in the depths of space.
What do you mean spread out? Are you telling me that approach and F1 is not the best way to do anything in the Thunderchild?
I'm telling you that when you can warp information in a sphere just wide enough to not hit one another.
But these are also Thunderchilds, so they are going to be hitting each other when they're firing at their target as well. So
we're also talking about Init. Like they aren't really known to use
fuck up in this kind of way.
Their advantage.
typically not known to fuck up this heavily. Although we did fuck up a dread bomb pretty heavily, but yeah, whatever.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, this is like basically nothing, right?
No,
It's
yeah, this is
funny.
nothing, but like it is fucking hilarious though.
In the grand scheme of things, this is just stepping on a rake.
Yeah.
But more
Painful
so,
and embarrassing for a day or so.
Stepping on a rake in a large cave, so it reverberates around quite a lot.
Yeah.
I will also say, I've got to give the Vexor Navy pilot props, because once he realized what was happening, he logged in another character with a curse to loot the Thunder Childs.
Well, I think that curse was potentially... Yeah.
He's there multi-boxing his own salvage operation while they kill themselves. It's brilliant.
Well, he had that curse there, and it's... Yeah, that curse was there as a... I guess
drops
as a
an
potential...
MTU.
It does drop an MTU, but he did have it there previously, but like,
I mean, Fumblington, however you pronounce your name, Bob, he's saying he's wondering how many are going to say I was there at the 30th anniversary. And let me tell you, I didn't lose one Panther in a hilariously dumb way. I lost 3, okay? And I'm owning up to all 3 of them because all of them were hilarious and dumb.
I would like to say thank you very much to Zyra and Bacard for actually like recording that whole incident. Like, yeah, fucking fantastic, dude.
Yeah, you've given us some brilliant comedy, and we salute you.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering, I'm going to give you one of the Panthers. When MJFGs came out, I thought, hey, I'm just going to sit on the undock and marvel at how awesome the new bridging looks like. You might remember that the effect on Black Ops were a bit bigger than they were supposed to be. So I was just sitting there bridging to nothing, and then I got MJD'd off the undock and killed by 3 destroyers. So yeah, that was fun.
But was it as much fun as losing that Entosis Varger? That first Entosis Varger?
That Entosis Varger was amazing. Come on. I don't know what you're talking about.
The Entosis Varga. It was a decision.
Was it the right decision? I don't think so.
It was a decision.
I don't know.
But it was a
decision.
decision. Someone did decide something then.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. This was, and for context, this is during what would eventually become the eviction from the North. I want to say it was Pure Blind.
Yeah,
and
sounds right.
Just, we already know that Horde is like running around with fleets upon fleets of Entosis Scepters because the Troll Scepter had not yet been patched out. And Soth goes and
wouldn't
takes
be for years to come.
Soth goes and takes a Varger to do Entosis work.
I'm not sure if it was a Varga. I don't think
it was
a
Varger.
No, the Varga was to kill the cruiser gangs. I don't believe you unless you show me a kill mail.
Let me go find it now. Thanks.
Can't be that hard. I didn't lose that many Marauders in my time.
Well, whilst Horrendous does this, then bearing in mind that it's like 12 minutes to go before the end of the show, we might as well do like one last thing, right?
Yeah, so we'll start with Soth so that he can talk a lot and buy Horrendous some time to find the kill mail.
Yes. So Soth, is there anything that we missed or anything that you wanted to bring up that you haven't brought up yet?
Yeah, that's actually something we missed. something that I do want to bring up.
Okay.
11 years ago, Violet, also known as Sean Smith, was killed in an attack on a U.S. embassy. And I was actually flying with him in a fleet right before it happened, which is probably one of the things that pulled me into this horrible game that we play. Because it made me realize that like everyone in the fleet like is a real person, right?
I mean, aside from the ult,
That like
but
I,
they're,
I, I
they're still
can't
broken.
say I can't say that I knew Violet, because literally the first time I heard him talk and the first time I was in a fleet with him was that last fleet he was ever in, right?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of us had moments like these. Um, some of them might not be uh as bad as mine, right? Um,
hmm
but yeah, basically this happened 11 years ago, and I just want to say, everyone, shoot blues every day and tell via red.
Yeah. Even if it's just an email to his to his character.
All right, Soft. I
You
want
found
you to
it.
notice. I want you to notice. There are no cruisers. What? I'm sorry. There is one Stabber fleet issue.
Yeah, they dropped bombers on me.
That's right. They drop bombers on you.
Oh, I was be like, hang on, I need something to show.
For those of you in Twitch chat who've been wondering about this, there's the kill mail.
Yep.
Lost of
There's
Varger to Moa.
Yeah, I did.
Moa.
But there's
Good
no
God.
Entosis on that thing.
That's true.
Hey,
There's
there
not an
isn't.
Entosis link.
what's in the cargo. Oh right. Yeah, good point. Yeah. He's got you there. He's
Yeah.
he's done a
I
number
mean-
on
So
you there.
you lied.
No, I didn't lie. I think I
Oh,
lied.
You lied about taking out Entosis Varger. You bastard.
I did. You said I took out an Entosis Varga.
Today,
you
because I
agreed.
believed you when you told me that.
Oh, I
You
never did.
went along with the Entosis Varga story until right now.
otherwise, why would he be searching through
Look,
Varga kill mails
I
from
lost,
you?
I lost a lot of stupid ships. Okay, so it was not out of the
He's just-
question for me that I had done this.
I mean, we had somebody in Twitch chat asking about how many of us can remember 2004. Soth can't even remember 2015.
It's true.
Soft lucky if he can remember 2012.
Hey, look, 2009 was 5 years ago, according to Soth. So, you know.
Also, if you think my Toon picture looks like an innocent boy, you might want to have a double take of that character.
Yeah. Probably
Anyway,
not.
I had my last thing, so
Yeah. Dirk?
I can't say I've got a huge amount today. It's good to be back after a few weeks off for real life stuff and the Alliance tournament and everything. I think it's been a bit more than a month. This is my first show in a bit more than a month now.
We haven't had a proper a proper Dirk rant today. But I'll take that down. I chalk that up to you still having to limber up for this sort of thing. Like
I've been feeling kind of mellow today. You know, it's you know there isn't always something to rant about. Just most of the time.
Just most of the time.
But yeah, good to be back, and I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing what CCP have or haven't come up with next weekend, and being the first talk show in EVE Online to be able to bring it to our lovely viewers in chat. So I say lovely.
Well,
our viewers in chat at the very least. So yeah, we'll be back next week to talk about that and see just how silly they've managed to be.
Yeah. And on that note, like we're kind of, I was wondering, I'm kind of wondering out there, like if we go like a half hour early, so we do like a live react to the, to the closing ceremony. I'm wondering how people feel about that, whether they would be interested in that or not. Because one of the things that I thought was kind of interesting with the, with the big dev blog that they did, right? The big sort of FanFest 2023 mega blog, right? Was they didn't actually say, as far as I can tell, and I'm just gonna do a quick like find on this.
What are you about to say? What didn't they do?
They didn't actually say anywhere, as far as I can tell, that streamers can restream or co-stream the the coverage of FanFest.
I mean, we could just ask CCP Convict.
No. I know the answer because I already searched for the answer. I explicitly went to sort of find the answer and get.
It's
CCP
just not mentioned in the blog.
It's just not mentioned in the blog whatsoever. So, an exclusive bit of information for for our viewers right here, right now, is CCP is letting streamers to restream or as otherwise termed co-stream the FanFest the streamed FanFest coverage from CCP TV or CCP's own live stream on Twitch. You can restream that and react to it, and CCP will be fine. CCP has given their consent for you to be able to do so. So if that is something that you are going to do or want to do or was interested in doing, then feel free to do it. We have we literally have a like CCP has actually responded about that and said that they are fine with people restreaming it.
Another note, just real quick on that topic. As I see the title of the stream, I'm here going, that stream says drops. There weren't any drop campaigns this week.
Were there not drop campaigns? Right.
Not this week, but next week, CCP is doing a FanFest drop campaign. The drops campaign is going to last for 10 days, starting from the 22nd. And EVE partners, so streamers as part of the EVE partnership program, will be allowed to do drops as part of that campaign as well. It's not just the CCP channel. So, yeah, there'll be drops for people to kind of claim for watching our show, other shows, other people doing silly things in EVE Online, as well as, of course, watching FanFest next weekend. So, yeah, that's going to be a big campaign, going to last for like a week and a half. Make sure you check it out.
Yeah. I need to
and on that note, Horrendous is the one last thing.
Yeah, Horrendous, do you have one last thing? Any chance?
I am so betrayed and disillusioned at Soth's fucking deception for all of these goddamn years. I cannot even. Holy shit.
I think you're misremembering the whole thing about the Entosis Vargo.
Don't you try and fucking compound this.
Why are you trying to
Don't you add yet
like
another? Don't you add yet another misdirection to this nonsense, Soth?
Soth, you are a betrayer.
Right.
Oh, right.
And on that note, we'll
I
try
mean,
and find some of the optimists for the show next week, I guess.
We'll see if we can find some. A quick little thing, just if people, didn't want to take it just on, my word. There is basically a screen grab of CCP Swift, basically saying you can restream the CCP broadcast on your own. So there you go.
Yeah, the drops information has been updated since that point, but yeah.
Yeah.
Are there optimists in Eve, symbiotes? I don't know. I'm sure some will exist somewhere.
No, Dirk misspoke. He meant we're gonna get an optometrist on the show next week.
No,
right? I need
look.
new glasses.
No. Actually,
Don't you start, Soft. Don't you start.
It's unlikely that we're going to get any optimists on the stream next week because all of them are going to be at FanFest.
To the question, are there optimists in Eve? I think the only appropriate answer is, I'm sure there are.
Probability
I haven't
tells
found one
us
yet.
that the chances are good.
Oh, right. Okay. So, from what I had been able to pick up from Brisk last week is that there will be a meta show this week. Meta show is back and going to be, in their correct cadence of actually basically having a show every single week rather than a show every now and then. So, they will be back to their regularly scheduled broadcasting sort of time slot each week. So in 1 hour, literally from now, be back here to watch the meta show with Brisk and Mark Resurrectus.
And then you can all get mad at them for actually telling you things that are true.
Rather than the falsities that seem to be coming from Soth.
Unlike Sothracel.
Anyway, guys, that'll do it. That'll about do it for us this week. Yeah. So take care, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Bye.